All right, let's talk about something that gets a lot of buzz in the retirement world: annuities. When does one of these things actually make sense? You've probably heard people praise them, and you've probably heard people warn you against them. So, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and figure out the specific jobs an annuity is built to do. Let's dive in. This is it. This is the question that keeps people staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. It's a very real fear. We're living longer than ever before, which is great. But it also means our money has to last longer too. So how do you turn that nest egg you've worked so hard for into an income stream that you literally can't outlive? And to solve that very puzzle, that longevity risk, some people turn to this very specific financial tool. Now, think of an annuity less like a silver bullet for everything and more like a specialized wrench in your toolbox. It's designed to do one or two things really, really well. But what is it exactly? At its heart, this is all it is. It's a deal. You hand over a chunk of money to an insurance company, and they, in turn, sign a contract promising to pay you back a steady stream of income, sometimes for a set number of years, but often for the rest of your life. It sounds simple, but that word, guaranteed, is where all the power is. So let's look at the two main problems this tool is built to solve. Okay, part one. This is the big one. The main reason most people even look at annuities in the first place. They want to create their own personal pension. They want a paycheck that shows up in their bank account every single month, no matter what the stock market is doing. So, does this sound like you? Let's be honest. The days of getting a gold watch and a lifelong pension from your company are pretty much gone. If you're someone who craves that stability, that predictability, but your retirement savings are sitting in a 401k or an IRA, an annuity is one way to try and build that pension for yourself. So what kind of income are we really talking about here? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Some annuities have this feature, you can think of it like an add-on, called a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit. What it does is it contractually guarantees you can pull out between 5 and 8% of your initial investment every year for the rest of your life, even if your actual account balance goes down. That's a pretty big number, especially when you compare it to the old 4% rule that a lot of retirees try to stick to. But of course, there's always a trade-off, right? No free lunch. The pros are huge. You can see them here. You basically eliminate the risk of running out of cash. You get a super simple, predictable paycheck. Awesome. But the cons are just as real. That income might be fixed, which means inflation could slowly chip away at your buying power. And this is a big one. In many cases, it's an irreversible decision. You're giving up access to that big lump sum of cash. So it really just comes down to this. What do you value more? If your number one goal is sleeping well at night, knowing that a check will always be there, then this could be a great fit. But if you're comfortable managing your own investments and you want the flexibility to pull out a big chunk of money if you need it, then an annuity for income is probably going to feel way too restrictive for you. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the second big job an annuity can do. And this one isn't about creating that paycheck right away. It's about protecting the money you've already saved while still giving it a shot at growing. All right, so picture this person. They're getting close to retirement, or maybe they're already there. They know they need their money to grow, to beat inflation, but the thought of another 2008-style market crash just terrifies them. They want the market's upside, but they absolutely cannot handle the downside. And this number right here, this is the whole promise. With certain kinds of annuities, often called fixed index annuities, you get what's called a floor. And that floor is usually 0. So what does that mean? It means if the market tanks and drops 10%, 20%, even 30%, you lose nothing. 0. Your principal is safe. The worst case scenario for your account is you just tread water for a year. But again, you don't get that kind of protection for free. The benefits are pretty clear, right? No risk to your principal, your money grows tax-deferred, but the trade-off is that your gains are limited. The insurance company uses things like caps or spreads, which is just a fancy way of saying there's a ceiling on your potential returns. So if the market has a fantastic year and goes up 20%, your account might only be credited with, say, 8%. You get none of the downside, but you also don't get all of the upside. A great way to think about this safety feature is to compare a specific type of annuity, a multi-year guaranteed annuity, or MYGA, to something we all know, a bank CD. An MYGA often pays a higher interest rate, and a big plus is that the growth is tax-deferred. With a CD, you're paying taxes on that interest every single year. The key difference, though, is insurance. A CD is FDIC insured by the federal government. An annuity is backed by the promise and financial strength of the insurance company that issued it. Okay, so we've seen where an annuity can be a really powerful tool. But to be smart about this, it is just as important, maybe even more important, to know when it's absolutely the wrong tool for the job. Let's just run through these real quick. First, if you're young, you need the full, uncapped growth of the stock market on your side. Time is your superpower. Don't trade that away for protection you don't need yet. Second, if you need liquidity, if you might need this cash for a down payment or an emergency in the next, say, 5 to 10 years, the surrender charges on an annuity will be a painful surprise. And last, if you're already set with guaranteed income from a pension and Social Security that covers all your needs, well, you probably don't need to buy more of it. And that really is the main takeaway. Asking, is an annuity good, is kind of like asking, is a hammer good? Well, yeah, it's fantastic for hitting a nail. It's a terrible tool for cutting a piece of wood. The value of an annuity depends 100% on the financial job you are hiring it to do. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is your biggest retirement fear? Is it outliving your money, or is it losing a big chunk of your savings in a sudden market crash? Answering that question for yourself honestly is the very first step in figuring out if a specialized tool like an annuity has any place in your financial toolbox. Thanks for tuning in.